A federal employee union has sued to block a Trump administration order that would strip bargaining rights at 18 departments, arguing the president abused the limited national security authority to attack unions. President Trump last week signed an order that directed agencies to terminate already signed collective bargaining agreements and to cease participating in grievance procedures. The Civil Service Reform Act that gives federal employees the right to unionize does have exemptions for national security, but its suit, the National Treasury Employees Union, NTEU, argues Trump went beyond authority that allows its use if an agency primarily does intelligence, counterintelligence, investigative, or national security work. The president's sweeping executive order is inconsistent with this narrow authority. The administration's own issuances show that the president's exclusions are not based on national security concerns, but instead a policy objective of making federal employees easier to fire and political animus against federal sector unions, NTEU wrote in its suit. While the order targets agencies it says have a national security mission, many of the departments don't have a strict national security connection. In addition to agencies with clear national security ties, the order also covers the Treasury Department, all agencies in the Department of Health and Human Services, the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Science Foundation, the General Service Administration, and many more. NTEU said that the statute may only be used in a manner consistent with national security requirements and considerations. The suit filed in Washington, D.C. comes as the Trump administration took the unusual move of filing its own legal action in Texas last week, making the first move in litigation by asking a judge to declare as legal its plans to terminate the contracts. The suit was filed in a single judge district in Texas, possibly setting the stage for a square-off in the Supreme Court. The NTEU suit goes through each of the offices and agencies represented by the suit, which ranges from the IRS to the Bureau of Land Management, writing that they do not primarily perform security, investigative, or intelligence work. The suit argues that the order, a White House fact sheet, and an accompanying memo from the Office of Personnel Management all reference broader plans to fire federal employees. The OPM guidance in the executive order shows the president's primary motivation for the max exclusion of agencies from the statute's coverage is to make their employees easier to fire. The same White House fact sheet reveals the secondary motivation for the executive order, political retribution. In justifying the executive order, the fact sheet states that certain federal unions have declared war on President Trump's agenda. The fact sheet said that current law enables hostile federal unions to obstruct agency management. NTEU wrote, neither facilitating employee firings nor political retribution is an appropriate basis for invoking Section 7103, National Security Exemption. These are nonetheless the president's declared basis for excluding about two-thirds of federal workforce from the statute through this narrow exemption. Well, I'm not in the business of ever praising Biden, but when he was attacked by, I think it was Haley over there in South Carolina for being the most pro-union president ever, it was like, I mean, you're basically complimenting him. But it's sad that they're going to take this statute and use it as the basis to fire a bunch of people who aren't even covered under it. And because Trump's legal team is kind of like really, what's a good way of putting it? They adhere to law when they feel like it. This is why when all their immigration stuff was getting blocked, oh well, that's not that federal judge can't influence national policy, but then they go to Texas trying to get another federal judge to, they go there specifically because they think, given where he's located, or he or she, that they will rule in a way that is favoring of what they would like to see. So I think what's going to end up happening is the judge will probably rule in favor of the unions, and Trump's team will then go and try to find some other judge in another red state that they can convince themselves will have a more skewed or right-wing view on this matter, and then try to get that person to switch or support their position. And the only way this will probably get solved indefinitely is if the Supreme Court gets involved, which they seem really reluctant to do. After all, a third of their members are Trump appointees. But you got to ask yourself, and I normally don't even like invoking this type of stuff, but you don't think it's sad that, within these agencies, hundreds of employees at a minimum, right? Some of those people voted for Trump. If we're just, going off any statistical basis, right? 77 million votes. And it's sad to know that out of those 77 million people that voted for him, there have probably been hundreds or even thousands um, who have had their job either gotten rid of, or I mean, it's sad. Like, I'll never understand how you can be one of the richest people in the world and convince poor people that you care about them. Like, it just, and not even as some rich person that's like championing, health care for all, or higher wages, or just anything that's in the interest of expanding a thing that people need to survive, and making it either more affordable or something that's easier to obtain. I mean, you have this union buster who had people that were part, like the Teamsters membership last year wanted to endorse him for president. The same president who is now trying to fire God knows how many employees across God knows how many agencies. It's insane. Like, it's just so backwards in terms of just it being a thing we're even seeing. You are witnessing mass retribution against agencies that Trump doesn't like, and whether the people voted for him or they voted for Harris or they didn't vote at all, they're being gone after. And the only way they're getting to keep their job is through the intervention of judges and other figures of the law who are not as politically motivated as the very vengeful U.S. president. It's sad.